Hello. My camera is unhappy. There we go. It's happy again. Today is October 18th. It's a town hall. I have a dog trying to crawl into my lap. It's been kind of a wet and gloomy day. So today, I apologize. He may pop up on the screen. Welcome to town hall. We already have people coming in. If you have attended one of these before, the format is very similar to a regular town hall. So I usually start off on a topic or subject or current events. And then if you have any questions, comments, concerns, much like writing on note cards or passing up a microphone, you drop those questions into the live chat and I will answer them for you. Boy, it has been a week, as every week these days. The dog's really super excited about joining us, and I am not sure the camera is refocusing. So I probably missed a clip of Jared Golden shotting a beer at least 3 dozen times now. Hey boys, why don't you take the dog out? He is really excited about me sitting on the sofa. Can we take the dog out, please? It's really important. Thank you. Sorry, multitasking mom here with a 90-pound love must, very much wanting to be all the way up in my lap while I'm talking. Can you please get him out? Oh, there we go. All right, go outside. There we go. So hopefully that resolves that issue. Our dog is very sweet. He's just an awful lot of dog. So when he tries to crawl into your lap, it can be overwhelming. So yeah, I was sent lots and lots of video clips of shotgunning beer. You won't see that from me. I am too boring and responsible to be doing that. I have kids that I'm watching a lot of the time, certainly on weekends most of the time. And I just simply don't engage in that behavior. There's a time and a place for everything, and that was college. So it's been a while. Actually, I don't think I've ever shotgunned a beer, but it brings up a topic that comes up a lot, and that is we've gotten away from what this job is. I think that there is a lot of people who want to identify with somebody who is like them. So maybe that's why we're seeing, Bruce Poliquin at all the football games and Jared Golden very excited about shooting guns and very excited about drinking beer, all the woo-woos and pew-pews. Gary wants to know how I can do keg stand. I cannot do a keg stand, although I have been to a wedding with a keg stand, and that was a lot. It was a family member. Yeah, but I'm a little old for that stuff. And even when I wasn't old for that stuff, I'm still very conscientious about. So I have no issues with alcohol, but my father was an alcoholic. And I know that it is not wise or judicious to be encouraging that behavior in large doses because you never know who you're talking to. So though I occasionally have a drink, and sometimes I will put on social media, like, look, I used Maine maple syrup to make this great drink because it had been a really hard week. So I had my one drink of the fiscal quarter. I don't generally go out of my way to encourage that sort of behavior because, again, you don't know who you're talking to, and you don't know if you're putting somebody who does suffer from challenges into a position where they have a temptation they don't need. Hang on just a second. I'm doing a live thing. Can you please take him out? He's just super excited. Thank you so much. Sorry, the boys are trying to encourage the dog to leave, but he is so excited to see me on the couch because I have worked. I woke up really early today. I've been working a very long day, and so he cannot functionally crawl into my lap when I am at my desk. So when he sees me, he can get on my lap. That's the most exciting thing ever. So yeah, I think it's really, I don't think it's a bad thing to want to have people you identify with running for office, but I do think we need to be really very mindful of who we're electing and why we're electing them. So, if you're electing somebody who likes to hunt and shoot and drink beer, I mean, that maybe there's a better TV show for that than Congress. If you're wanting somebody who's going to go look at these laws and really pay attention to how they impact all of us and make sure that we have a fair, equitable system, the federal government, the laws that are created there, that is the scaffolding that our whole system is kind of balanced upon. And having somebody that doesn't take that job seriously, whether it's showing up to debates in flannels, and I love flip-flops. I show up to court in a flip-flop and hoodie, but by the time I'm in that courtroom, I'm wearing grown-up shoes and I'm wearing a jacket that isn't a hoodie, because it's just certain jobs have a dress code. And this is one of those jobs where I think that you need to be appropriate. I think it's fine to be folksy. I think it's fine to share who you are. I do that. But I also make sure that folks know that I'm interviewing to do a job. I'm not interviewing to be your buddy. And it's not that I don't want to be your buddy. It's the same conversation I have with my children all the time. Not that, voters are my children, but I tell my kids all the time, I am there to make sure that you are successful and you have the tools that you need. And I want to have fun with you. And I love to be your friend, but I have a job to do that is more important than just being your friend. And I really think that Congress's job that's more important to do than just being your friend or just being somebody that you would hang out with. So I think that there's probably some people that are really going to identify with that. That's great. And I appreciate all the jokes that you all sent me about the beer. Boy, there were a lot of them. But you're not going to see that behavior from me. Not only am I just totally disinterested in engaging in that activity, I would probably be very bad at it. I do not think I can shotgun a Bud Light, and I'm not interested in trying. And if that's what it takes to get elected, I think that I'm not interested in being that kind of representative. I just want to work on law. So if a whole bunch more people come in, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, throw them in the chat. I will address those as we're talking. For those of you who've just come in, we were talking about, there's been some press about this race is very boring. And the most exciting things are, that Bruce Poliquin has some interesting skeletons in his closet. He really likes to ask others to pay his fair share of taxes. And Jared Golden apparently can shotgun a Bud Light, sort of. I don't know. I've seen better jobs at that done. I had friends that were much more festive and interesting than I am. I've always been pretty dull. So other topics that have come up this week, and it's come up a lot this week, probably the two biggest questions I've been asked are late-term abortion has come up a lot, and the economy. Those are probably the two biggest or two greatest categories of emails that I've gotten. So late-term abortion, I've gotten a few people that have sent me things going, oh my gosh, you support late-term abortion? What is wrong with you? No. Here's the thing. No one gets to 5, 6, 7 months pregnant and thinks, oh, this pregnancy thing, it's just been a bother. And I've decided to be a homicidal maniac. So I'm going to go ahead and have an abortion now for funsies. No one does that. And the reason why we shouldn't be regulating or legislating around abortion, particularly late-term abortion, is almost 100%, if not, it's either 100% statistically or like actually 100%. You'd have to be somebody who really liked to self-inflict pain and torture to wait to that long in a pregnancy to terminate for no reason. Now, you might give no reason on forms, but that just means you don't really want to have to explain how upset you are about this. And that's something I actually get all the time in family law. Oh, women are always trying to divorce men for no reason. There's all these no-fault divorces. No fault doesn't mean that there wasn't a fault. It means they don't want to talk to you about it. It's not your business. And that's what most of these are. Most of these, if not all of them, are people who have medical complications. They might have been diagnosed with cancer. Their fetus might have anencephaly, which means part or all of the brain's missing. I highlighted earlier today a woman who'd had an abortion, late-term abortion, and it was because a tumor had taken over her baby's entire body, and the baby was only going to live for a very short period of time. So the choice was to have an abortion and have it be less hard on the mother and have the opportunity to actually say goodbye to their child while their child was still alive, or wait for the child to die and possibly kill the mother. So those are very complicated, very awful situations We do not need laws on top of those. Those people are already thinking very hard, long, and deep about those. And, shame on all of us for letting anyone convince us that, women at 24 or 20 weeks just suddenly become completely incapable of making rational decisions that balance everybody's well-being and usually involve end-of-life care for a terminally ill child, and that they need somebody who's in Washington, D.C. or their state legislature to protect them from making a bad decision. And that somebody has to be somebody that has absolutely no idea what's going on with the situation. That's just, it's nonsense. I don't know how we got pulled into this. I mean, women have for a very long time been used to sort of divide people. I think that women in general can kind of say, we're not interested in that. Please don't pull us into your political fodder. And even a lot of women who declare themselves pro-life, as soon as they have a friend or family member, acquaintance who goes through something like this, the response is, oh my gosh, well, no, this is an abortion. I didn't mean you, but those are abortions. That's what a late-term abortion is. So that is one that does come up every time I make statements about it. I get a flurry of emails telling me that I'm wrong, and I get to respond to those. And not everybody comes along to my perspective, but a lot of people do. I think a lot of people truly have no idea what we're talking about, because we've been shown all these icky pictures and told all these things that aren't the reality of those situations. So the other thing that's coming up a lot is inflation, and that actually ties into abortion. A lot of women who do terminate for non-medical reasons, usually fairly early in the pregnancy, usually in the first few weeks, it can be an economic factor. I mean, the average cost of raising a child, the number I've seen floated this year, is over $300,000. I mean, most people don't have that. And I don't think it costs every single person $300,000 to raise a child, but I don't know. My kids are pretty ambitious with what they would like for Christmas this year. So not $300,000. So the economy's been coming up. Inflation really has not been coming down very well. We are going to have some gaps this year. I want you, if you're watching this, please tell your friends, tell your family, if you have space and resources to plan ahead. Please make sure you've bought a couple weeks ahead, 2-3 weeks ahead. Don't buy 10 years ahead, but buy a little bit ahead. We are going to have some supply chain issues. Make sure that things are on the shelves for people who don't have the room or the money to buy ahead. And if you are choosing between a WIC product and a non-WIC product, usually depends on where you are. It's usually on the price sticker. There'll be something that says WIC. It might have a logo. It might not have a logo. It might just say WIC. People who are purchasing with WIC vouchers, they can only buy a very limited range of items. Please make sure that they have access to food, and be kind to your neighbors. The people who are on those programs really need help, and they really economically, I honestly, personally don't care what your feelings are. I think that we're a country where, you might not get steak and lobster for every meal, but I don't think in a country with our overall wealth, people should ever go hungry. People should have access to some basic food. And if somebody is needing those resources with how low those income limits are and how punitive our programs currently are, please make sure that those are available, because those are people who really, really do need help. Haven't had any other questions, comments, or concerns. Have had some more people pop in. So if you're popping in, if you have questions, comments, concerns, you want to talk about something, drop it in the chat. It's very much how a town hall operates in person. We're just virtual because it's a very, very large area. It also means that I can not have to secure a venue, and I can focus more on you all instead of having to get places and back. I can maximize my time a little bit. We can maximize your time. We can be mindful of everyone's resources, and people can call in from all over the state instead of having to worry about whether or not there's a town hall or if they've missed one. We don't have very many of these left. I might do one on election night for the last hour or so. I think our polls close at 8. So we're within about 3 weeks at this point in time. We're getting very close. I'm trying to think of any other issues that have been big issues this week. The lobsterman issue is sort of fading a little bit. I do have to say, if that's an issue you care about, all of the lobstermen that I talked to, I looked them up, None of them were registered to vote. Maine does have same-day voter registration. Please register to vote and participate in democracy. It's very important to do. I've heard hints that there may be one last debate. I've been asked to hold a time, but I haven't gotten a confirmation on that yet. I've actually been asked to hold like 5 different times for that news station, so I'm not entirely confident that the gentleman will show up, but if I'm given that format, I will. If you're wanting to help get involved in the campaign, a few things you can do. Place links to these when I put them on. So the Tuesday town halls and the breakfast with Tiffany. If you are on Facebook, if you're on another social media platform, share those out so that folks do have the opportunity to come find me. This, for the next week or so, is the best time to do postcards. So if you would like to help get postcards out, we're going to be sending them out through the 31st till the end of the month is when we're going to be doing postcards. If you want to round up 5 or 10, very helpful. We'll keep addressing issues as they come in. I have a few more podcasts coming up before the election. I'm trying to think of anything else exciting. I have a bunch of events. Tomorrow I'm going to be in Lewiston, Auburn for the Chamber of Commerce. They're having an event. Thursday, there is a high school up north of the county that I'm going to be at. I think I'm going to be the only congressional candidate at both of those. I know you're very surprised that Golden and Poliquin are not showing up. I, too, am shocked. But I think it's really important to have people that show up, and people who show up at things that aren't always staged or managed or that are very accessible to folks. I try to be as accessible as possible. This weekend, I think I'm going to be in Blue Hill for an event, so you can catch me in person there. And I think Sunday I'm going to be managing getting out the rest of the mailers, so I may just have office hours if you are looking to reach out to me. I haven't had any other questions, comments, concerns. It's been kind of a rainy, gloomy day. We always get fewer questions on gloomy days. I don't blame you. I had to wake up really early, and I happen to be over-caffeinated, but if I weren't, I would probably be in a Snuggie right now. So I will probably wrap today since we've had no other questions. I will be back on Saturday if you have any questions there. You can also find me again. I've got lots of in-person events the next couple of weeks. And if you want to help, lots of ways to help. If you have any questions or special requirements for how you're able to help, send me a message and I will get back to you. And I don't know if it's picking up the mic, but my dog is already very excited to come back in. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. I'll see you Saturday if I don't see you at one of the events I have this week. And I hope you have a truly glorious evening.